All right. I think that's changed things now, so people should be able to hear me. Sorry about that. Had a bit of a technical issue there. Sorry about that. Yeah. So look, we'll get started. Got a couple of people here. I imagine we usually have a few people turning up just as we get going. I know a lot of folks view these webinars after they occur as well. So just remember that all of this info that we're going to talk about today is available on our YouTube channel. So I'll just kick things off. By the way, just before I start, you'll notice underneath the video that you're watching, there is a little entry from Dev Academy and just a comment there. You'll notice at the bottom of that comment there is a link. Please click on that link if you've got any questions. You can add your questions there, and as we go through, I can answer them. Yeah. So yeah, just click on the link and add your questions as we go. Also, if you find the link's not working, feel free to add in the live chat comments to the side. Cool. Okay. Well, I'll get started. So one of the first questions, and this is a pretty common question, is do many people do Dev Academy that want to build their own business or that are interested in getting into a startup? And yeah, we see a number of people coming to Dev Academy for two main reasons. The first one being they want to be a software developer and they want to get into the sector and work in, you know, web development, software development, games, data visualization, into that whole area that requires coding. Or they want to actually start developing their own ideas and getting into starting their own business, gaining those skills that enable them to do that. And we're starting to see that more and more because obviously we've got, you know, people going into or through their careers, whether they're an accountant or a lawyer or a barista or a doctor or a business owner, maybe they're in retail or any sector, to be honest. And every sector is being challenged by technology. And when you're in that sector and you see someone that's got a product that they're able to do better because they're using technology, then those folks are starting to think, well, maybe it's time that they grew in their ability to perform in that area. So we're seeing a number of folks that are within their sector and going well in their career, wanting to grow their skills so that they can develop a product or a service in that sector still that has a tech focus, so that they can, so that they can change with the times. To give you an example, I mean, that you look at any sector, and any sector is changing. I mean, one of our big ones is accounting, because in New Zealand we have a huge company called Xero that's been very, very successful at challenging the way in which accounting is done. And we are seeing that beautiful software product taking the place of the accountant often, and we are seeing less and less need for accountancy. And those accountants that are providing a service are often providing a bespoke or consultative service rather than a bookkeeping service. So that's the way things are changing. That's just one sector. If you look at anything, you know, journalism, media, newspapers, you know, they've been challenged hugely. You look at teaching and the way in which it gets challenged by tech as well. So every sector is being challenged by tech, and I think we see a number of people coming to Dev Academy so that they can make that transition and start their own business. Yeah, so that's very, very common. The next question relates to job hunting, and what's that like? Well, job hunting is really tough, actually. But what we're doing here at Dev Academy is trying to give you an experience that really supports you segueing into the tech sector. So, and when I'm referring to job hunting, I'm not talking about starting a business. That's a different problem in itself. I'm talking about that route of you've come to Dev Academy to transition into the tech sector, and your goal is to become a software developer, and what's it like to transition either from a tertiary background that you've just graduated from, maybe even if it's a computer science background, or maybe you're 10 years into your career and you want to come to us to go into tech. That type of job hunting rather than the starting your own business type of job hunting. And what's that like? Well, it depends very much on the person. But so let's say you've come from a classical background or a tertiary background, and you don't have any of the ability to knock on the door of a tech company to go for a software development role because you've never had any foray into that space, or you've never had any portfolio, you've never had any experience, and everyone asks for experience, and we see this from the job ads. And you know, you've got no ability to go through any of those doors that are provided through, let's say, at Xero advertising a job. What we do at Dev Academy is we give you an immersive experience. So we are trying to give you your first tech experience. We call it an apprenticeship on steroids because we take you through the motions of what it's like in a technical environment, so that when you are knocking on the door of one of the tech companies, you can say to them, well, I haven't had a commercial experience, but I have had this experience that replicates a commercial environment. As well as that, we give you a full portfolio. So everything you do here is able to be seen in your GitHub profile. So an employer can look at that and see what you can do, rather than them taking your word for it, saying, well, look, I can code, but actually this is what I can code, and this is what it looks like, and they can walk you through that. Also, what we're doing here is we're teaching you a lot of those non-technical skills, so the ability to learn and empathize and work in teams and understand yourself, so that when you are fronting up to these tech companies, it's not just, hey, I can code, it's hey, I can code, but also I'm really good at understanding who I am and how I work with other people. I'm good at receiving feedback and giving feedback. I'm good at being led, but I'm also good at mentoring as well, because I've done a lot of pairing. And these are the attributes and the skills and the things that employers are looking for, much more than your ability to write sharp code. That'll come. In fact, they can teach that to you. You know, they're experts in that. So what we're giving you here is the experience to be able to get into that interview and actually have a competitive advantage. So job hunting, you're going to be going through Careers Week with us. After you've graduated, we have a week-long experience in which we take you through how to generate a CV and a cover letter and those sorts of things. We take you through a lot of interviewing. We take you through where to find jobs. You'll notice very few jobs advertised. And we do a lot of this work with you, so that when you are job hunting, you've got a full tool set behind you and you can rely on that. But the actual job hunting can be tough, and it depends on you. So some people like to you know, go to meetups or hackathons and network like that. And some people find that really uncomfortable. Some people like to apply in the classic sense to jobs and to companies and say, hey, I'm choosing this company. I really like what you do. I'd love to know if there are any opportunities there, and that sort of classical way. Other people use their networks, and that's a really common way. So they'll talk to friends and family around networks that they can build, so that they've got much warmer leads into companies and so on. Some people like to follow a more unconventional route and knock on the door. That can be quite annoying, but hey, if they're just doing it to one or two companies and they've got a really good story behind it, that can sometimes work. So it really does depend on you. But one thing that Dev Academy does is that we're really interested in standing by you, whatever that means. So some people engage with me a lot after graduation around preparing for interviewing and who to talk to and so on. Some people will continue to use the space and do a lot of coding from Dev Academy. We also have something called a code gym or a tech gym, which gives students a bit of architecture around their ongoing learning, so that they're continuing to learn and program. But there are a number of ways in which EDA can support in that job hunt. But it's certainly not a, hey, you've graduated, see you later, good luck. It's very much a keep engaged, keep talking to us, keep working with us, so that on that job hunt you're feeling supported and you've got some you've got some resources behind you, ongoing resources that can support you in that job hunt. But we're still seeing the majority of people are picking up work on their merits themselves. So on that portfolio, on their ability to present, on the what people call soft skills, and those skills that we train you in here, those are the things that are really opening doors and securing the interviews and getting people work at the end of the day. The next question says, will I get a job if I do your program? Well, that's the idea. So everything we've done here is to get you work as a programmer, a software developer. It's applied theory, and it's learning by doing. So we want to grow your skills in being able to program, but it's not guaranteed. And if you just do the program and then go out and job hunt, that's not going to guarantee you a job. You have to really be passionate about software development. The tech sector is looking for passionate people, and if you are passionate and you've got projects that you're interested in, you love what we do here, and you might not know this now, you might have to figure that out, but there's a ton of problem solving, there's a ton of learning, there's a ton of sort of humbleness around getting to know who you are and working with others, not having an ego and just throwing that out the door, and just being always eager to learn and collaborate. If you love doing this and you can find this in programming, you'll probably have a great career ahead of you. This sector rewards passionate people that love what they do. And if you don't know what that is, well, I suggest you start coding and start going to hackathons and getting involved in the tech sector, because it is an incredibly rewarding one. But just doing our program won't cut it. You have to continue coding afterwards, and you have to continue to hone and grow your skills and be involved in the sector, have personal projects, contribute to open source, go to meetups, go to hackathons, talk to people in the sector, challenge yourself. You have to really get out there. It is a tough sector to get into. But we exist to make that transition structured and supported, so that you can make that transition as easily as possible. It's not easy, it's hard, but we've done it before and we know how to do it. So that's what we provide, and it's a lot of hard work. The next question is, what is phase 0 like? Can I do it in a week if I work really hard? And can I do it from your site? So phase 0 is the preparation part of Dev Academy. So you have to do this before you get into the boot camp. And preparation can vary from 6 months to 6 weeks. It's really up to you. You can't do it in a week. We've tried that. It just doesn't work. It's too tough. No matter how good you are at coding, there's too much to learn. And let's say you're already a really proficient JavaScript developer, and you do it, you're still going to need really a minimum of, I'd say, 4 weeks at a bare minimum. But we strongly suggest 6 weeks or longer. If you're a really good coder, let's say you're a great PHP developer, you can probably do it in 6 weeks, because a lot of the concepts can be transferred. But do bear in mind, you're going to be doing full stack JavaScript, and there's a lot of different knowledge there. But what is phase 0 like? Well, it's designed to be done remotely. So it's done through the browser. You can do it on any machine from anywhere in the world. However, you don't have to do it like that. And the next question, and part of this question relates to, can you do it on site? And the answer is most definitely yes. You can do it on site in Auckland and Wellington. We have got sites in both areas, and you're most welcome to come in and do that preparation work from EDA. And we definitely encourage you to do so. Those folks that engage with other people in their cohort in that preparation phase have a much more pleasurable time, because they just move faster. They also get to know their cohort, which is a really nice factor too. However, a lot of folks can't do that, and we've designed it so people can access it from anywhere. And yes, we do have virtual spaces in which you can connect to people on Google Hangouts or Skype calls. We've also got Slack, which is an instant messenger for groups, and you can integrate and interact with this. We also have waffle boards that are community waffle boards, so you can see what other people are doing and where they're at, and that's really important. But do bear in mind, we have people going through that preparation at many different stages, and at the moment we've got close to 45 people in that preparation, so there are a number of people at different stages. So yeah, that's a little bit what phase 0 is like. One of the key successes of phase 0 is planning. If you've got 6 months and you know you've got to do 10 hours a week for that 6 months, really planning that and making sure you commit to that is one of the key learnings in phase 0. It will create success. If you don't do that and you're slack and you don't commit to that 10 hours a week that you said you're going to do, it's going to be really tough to complete it, because a month will go by and you haven't done those 10 hours, and suddenly instead of doing it 10 hours a week, you've got to do 15 hours a week to catch up, and that starts to be a big burden on you. Now, where we see the successes come through are those people that actually plan and commit to it. Phase 0 is not in itself tough. The work is relatively easy. It's preparation. There's no A's. You just have to do the work. But planning and dedicating that time when Netflix is on and you're gaming online and so on, to steel yourself to do that work, that is vital. And we see people that are exceptionally good coders and have got great potential that fall short because they can't plan their time in phase 0. Next question. How do potential employers view people from non-IT backgrounds? And are they supportive, or would they rather hire someone with technical experience? Most of the folks that study at Dev Academy don't have tech backgrounds. They don't have a computer science or engineering degree, and they haven't had experience in the sector. And we see very high employment rates. Over 88% of our graduates get employment after 4 months. So the answer is, yeah, they're viewed very highly. I don't think your classical tertiary background matters. I don't even think a degree matters. And you'll notice that recently there was an article or a bit of publicity around a whole lot of tech companies coming together saying, we actually don't value the degree anymore, and we're quite happy to hire people that don't have classical tertiary education. And we fully back that, because we've seen the results of an experience like this and other forms of experiences, the School of Hard Knocks. And, I meet a number of folks in tech that don't have formal technical backgrounds or even degree backgrounds, and they are exceptional practitioners, and I would definitely work with them in a heartbeat. However, there are still some roles in tech that require you to have very formal training, and that training sometimes comes from a tertiary provider, but that training can equally come from the industry itself. So I'm not saying all formal backgrounds or all formal training is bad. What I am saying is that we don't see any problem in getting hired. We don't see any problem with a lot of the tech sector roles, technical roles, needing formal training. However, what we do here is informal, but it is going through a lot of the skill sets you're going to be using in the industry. Have a look at our curriculum on our website. Have a look at some of the experience from students. We are replicating a real-life environment. So we don't have time to take you into the depths of architecture or algorithms. We just don't have the time. We are relying on the sector to do that in time. But what we are doing is setting people up to hit the ground running, so that when you are graduating and when you're going into tech companies, you're able to segue into these organizations, not slow them down too much, so that you can contribute as quickly as possible. You can sap up knowledge, you can pair well, you can integrate well and onboard well, so that you're hitting the ground running and you can provide value as soon as possible. That's what we're aiming for. We don't think you're exceptional coders the moment you graduate. That comes with 5,000 hours, a lot more time. But we do want you to integrate as quickly as possible, so that so that it's not slowing those businesses down, and that investment in you is realized as quickly as possible. So yeah, employers view people with a non-technical background. We don't regard that as an issue. And would they rather hire someone with a technical experience, or maybe even a classical education? Some organizations still do. And I just emailed an organization today who advertised a graduate program, and they said, you must have a tertiary qualification in computer science or engineering. And I wrote back to them saying, really? You've hired people from us before, and this hasn't been the case. Why now? And the reply is, well, it's just a rule. And I think that's pathetic, to be honest. And I think the sector has moved on, and they will miss out on some exceptional people. And I know hiring managers within this large tech organization that would readily hire folks from us, and I'm disappointed that we can't contribute to their graduate program. However, I'm also working with them to change that rule, because I think it's draconian and doesn't serve them in any way. So yeah, we'll watch that space. But that's unusual. Very unusual for me to see these days a requirement of computer science for a role, unless it's a science and research role, a highly theoretical research-based role. That's different. And those roles are, you have to do your computer science. But let's face it, most of the software development roles are not like that. And most companies out there, if they need that aspect in the job, they're quite happy to train for it. And we get a pretty strong message from some companies saying, hey, that stuff we know. So if you give me this person that can soak in this knowledge, that can fit into the team, that is eager and passionate, we'll give them that stuff. Just make sure you're attracting these people and giving them the skills to be able to learn in our environment. That's what I want. So that's what we do. The next question is, do employers hire people with no degree? Definitely yes. And we train people with no degrees regularly. And we give them some exceptional skills so that they go into the tech sector and they become amazing value. I think I've gone through this in the last question as well. How flexible is the course curriculum? Yeah, we get asked this question a lot. And yesterday, on Friday, I met someone that is coming specifically to Dev Academy to build a product they are interested in building. And they've said, hey, I need to build it in these technologies. Can I learn those technologies? And my answer is definitely. But we will teach you the foundation of software development across the full stack to a certain extent, concentrating heavily on the coding aspects of that stack. And then that will be the foundation. What we encourage you to do is to bring in these custom technologies towards the end of the program, so that when you are graduating, you've got that base foundation plus the technologies you're specifically interested in. And yes, we can support you in that learning. We might not know the intricacies of D3 to a very senior level, but at this level in which you're at, we can support you in learning that. And what we're doing is we're creating these rhythms and these habits of learning. And as we go through the program, particularly towards the end, there's a lot of flexibility around what you learn. And we've encouraged this person to actually build their idea a number of times throughout the curriculum, throughout the experience, and there is definitely space to do that. So there is a baseline inflexibility in the curriculum, and then there's this higher level, particularly towards the end, flexibility around what you want to learn. So yeah. Someone's asked if there is flexibility to work with people that have done a lot of coding. And yeah, there is. We have a number of people that come to us that have actually got some quite good coding skills. And what we see is that they don't have the same experience as everyone else. So we stretch anyone. If you have got a strong technical background and you want to come on Dev Academy because you're not getting work, or maybe the skills in which you've got are a little bit out of date, or maybe you want to segue slightly from DevOps or design into tech, but you know quite a bit, then we are not going to teach you how to suck eggs. We're not going to teach you the same stuff you already know. We're going to move you as fast as possible through the material into something that you don't know to stretch you. There's no point in holding you back. So we've taken a number of people that have been in the sector or very proficient coders in their own right, and we've managed to stretch them and have amazing outcomes. They also generally are receiving a higher salary on graduation as well, and that's something important to note. Okay. People asking about wanting to be, if you have to be an extrovert, or what type of personality does the best. To be honest, any type of personality does well here. If you are passionate about tech and you're passionate about understanding who you are and working with other people, you will do well. It's a tough program, but if you come with that sort of attitude, it's a wonderful experience. We do get you to present, but we push you to go out of your comfort zone, but we're not interested in breaking you. We're not interested in making you do something that you really just don't want to do. This is everything that we do here, you're invited to do. However, we can really, in a kind way, we can push you past your perceived limitations to your actual limitations, and that's where we want you to operate. Someone's asked about, tell us some stories, and there's too many stories to tell. We've had some amazing things occur, and they always do. Just recently, we had an awesome company called Gurgle, have continued to win awards and be recognised for the work that they're accomplishing. So Bev and Jess, who work on that program, have just won an award through Massey, and they won a competition, and they're continuing to build their product. Their product is live. If you look at what is Google, I just look up Google's. So Google.nz, Gurgl.nz, and if you look at that platform, that's a live platform that was actually developed at Dev Academy, and that team is continuing to work on that. That's a pretty exciting story of something real that is out there, and yeah, they've got a number of awards and accolades, and they're redoing their website and their product inside of this this recognition. So yeah, that's a pretty cool story. We've had people work at a myriad of companies. If you look at our website, you'll be able to see some of the companies that people have worked for. There are a lot more than what's listed on the website, which is pretty exciting. Every day, I'm blown away with the amount of businesses that have been started, the accomplishments that graduates have made. One thing I'm particularly excited about is when we have 5,000 graduates. You know what that will mean, what an environment to be in, that amazing talent pool working together, starting their own businesses. That's incredibly exciting. Also, Dev Academy is pretty keen to move into other types of training. So we're interested in entrepreneurship and in crypto and security and these sorts of things. So when we start to graduate people in different disciplines, I'm particularly excited about those folks working together. So there's a lot to look forward to around that. But yeah, look, the standard good story is, someone graduates from maybe a hospo background, and they've been, managing a cafe or working for minimum wage, and they absolutely love tech. They come and have this amazing experience, go into the tech sector, they get their first job, and after 6 months, they come back and they say, hey, I'm absolutely loving what I'm doing. I'm getting rewarded for it. I'm getting paid incredibly well for it. And yeah, I'm actually contributing to something I believe in. That's the classic story that we see at Dev Academy, and it's what makes me do what I do. So we've been around for the next question says talk a little bit about our history. So we've been around now for coming up 4 years. We've been graduating students for over 3. And we've had over 300 students graduate, which is incredibly exciting. We've changed our curriculum 3 times in its totality. So we've thrown the curriculum out twice, and we're on to our 3rd curriculum. We iterate on it each week. We get better and better at what we do, and we're very, very confident in our product right now. And we're starting to talk to the likes of central government around how we take our academy to the next steps, which is very, very exciting. And yeah, I mean, there's it just gets better and better and more exciting. Could you speak a bit about Careers Week? I sort of talked a little bit about Careers Week, so I'll brush over that question. So just going on about my background. So my background, I suppose I'll talk a little bit about where my passion lies. So I got into this because my business partner and I, Joshua, we started to look at the tech sector, and we were very surprised at looking at the sector in its totality and seeing that the lack of hireable talent, the lack of developers that were able to provide value out there was inhibiting companies' ability to grow. And I think it's also inhibiting our company's ability to lead. And I think we are, and this is a phenomenon worldwide, so I don't think we're doing this worldwide very well. And I don't think it's anyone's fault in particular, but I think it's exacerbated or exaggerated by the fact that technology moves very quickly. So we are seeing the effects in the tech space more heavily than in law or in accounting or wherever it may be, because tech moves so fast. But I also think the software space and tech space challenges itself, and is actually a pretty good working environment, because as developers, you're always looking for ways to improve. Therefore, it's challenging the status quo constantly. So Joshua and I looked at how we could create exceptional people graduating into the market, and what that came down to was, who do we attract and what skills do we train for? And that's at the fundamental of the program. So who are we attracting, and how are we communicating as an organization? Who walks through the door, and what is the experience here that gives them the skills to go into industry? And we hold a huge amount of responsibility for both of those things, and that's what the sector relies on us for. Okay, last couple of questions. What's the day in the life of a student like? So a student on boot camp, generally is starting at around 8:30. So people are coming in, grabbing a tea or a coffee, getting started formally at 8:45 with an accountability group. So that is a retrospective on the previous day. Seeing how people are going, small groups of 5 or so people. They'll have a reflective question on their learning. So what did you notice about your previous week's fatigue levels as it relates to your ability to sleep or eat? Or tell me about a conflict you had and what you learned from it. These sorts of reflective habits are incredibly important when you are working in a learning environment. And if you are constantly learning in any job, you will be always improving in your ability to provide value, and your ability to feel confident in progressing in your career and in your craft. I think we forget that learning throughout life is incredibly important. It doesn't stop after you've got your degree or got your training. It happens throughout life, and that's very, very important. So we click into a morning lecture. The lecture is much more like a live coding session / Q&A session, in which we introduce a topic. And we introduce this topic. A teacher might do some coding on how to embed an aspect of or a tool set into the previous project from the previous day. And then students would ask some questions, and they'd explain, how to start and what not to do and what to do. But then the reins would be handed over to students, and they'd go out onto the floor, they'd get together into pairs, and they would start using these tools themselves. Now, all too frequently, education stops at that point in which a student never really picks up the tools. You're shown how the tool works, and you're told it works like this, but you never pick up the tool. So we get you to pick up the tools all the time. You're always using this theory in a practical way, because you're going to be using those tools in a real life environment. We have good lunches from either 12:30 until 2 or from 12 until 2. The reason we have that difference is because on Tuesdays and Thursdays we have a longer lunch, so we can fit yoga in for an hour. Yoga is an optional thing that we put on in an office environment. It's one of the few things that we can do in an office environment to get our bodies moving. But the thing is it's us walking the walk around, hey, take care of your bodies. Your body isn't just a transport around the head. It's something that needs feeding and nourishing, and giving it exercise is important. Oxygenating the brain is important. But we have good-sized lunches so people can get out and about, get physical, get some good sustenance into their body, and carry on into the afternoon. We start the afternoon at 2 o'clock. With an hour again, or 40 minutes of an introductory sort of lecture into a new topic or a new tool set, in which teachers are explaining something new, and again followed by more floor time and pairing to embed that tool set into previous projects so that you can actually wield those tools. We close the day at 5 o'clock again with a closing circle, in which we have a bit of a reflection on the day. How was your learning? What was your blocks? What were your aha moments? Things like this. And students are then planning on into the evening. So when we say it's a 60 to 80 hour week at Dev Academy, it really is. And if you're not spending at least 60 hours with us, you're probably not going to get through the work. The exception is that parents have to go home and have parenting duties at certain times of the day. So you have to be with us between 9 and 5, and parents often check out at 5 and go home and do those obligations that they've got. But they're often also opening up the computer after the kids are asleep and on weekends. And to be honest, if you're not putting in that 60-hour week, you're probably not going to go through it. There is a lot of work to do. We don't think this is what the sector represents, but we've only got you for 9 weeks, and we need you to really bust yourself. It is a marathon, and we're asking people to go over and above what we usually expect of people. The reason we do this is people are dropping salaries, absolutely, remortgaging to get through this program because of the loss of income and because of the fee. It is expensive, and we know this, so we've got to make it intensive and short so that people can go back into earning an income. And look, it works, but it only works if you put the effort in. That's the day in the life of a student. We have lots of projects. So on Thursdays and Fridays, pretty much every week, we have projects. So you will build a lot of projects with us, 9 in total as a minimum, and that's pretty exciting as well. So the final project, which is a 10-day project, is sort of like the jewel in your portfolio crown. And that's a fully fledged, polished app. Often people are showing that to employers as well. So what are some opportunities to experience Dev Academy before applying? Good question. So we have days in the life at Dev Academy. They are really valuable, immersive experience for a short day. So they're usually 6 hours between sort of either 9 and 5 or 10 and 4, between those sorts of times. And you can come in and experience a day with us. We run them on weekends sometimes, or on a Saturday sometimes. We also run them on a Friday sometimes. So you'll notice that we've actually got one this week. I don't think there are any places left, but you can check it out on our website. There might still be a couple of places left, and if there are, I strongly suggest you scoop them up quickly. But we've also got more advertised throughout the year. So we have them fairly regularly, sometimes on a weekend, sometimes on a Friday, and they're fairly accessible. Other ways in which to have a sort of an experience as well is just to come on in, have a chat to me. I'll show you around. I can show you around the Wellington office. I've also got, sometimes I'm in Auckland as well, and I can show you around the Auckland office if you arrange a time with me. But we've also got staff up there that will be very happy to show you around. So if you want to come through, maybe you want to have a chat specifically about your background and your ability to get work, just talk to us. We do this a lot. Jack, my colleague, and I sit down with students and really talk about the experience, talk about your background and where you might go, the business idea or the idea of getting into software development and what that career experience would look like. We're very happy to talk to you about that. You can get in touch with us by emailing us at hello@DevAcademy, or any of our first names at Dev Academy will get us to. It's pretty easy to get in touch, or you can give us a call. We've got a couple of phone numbers on the website. So yeah, there's a number of opportunities there. Look, that's the end of the questions I've got. I'll give you a quick walkthrough of the space, just very, very quickly, and we'll go from there. As I said, if you've got any further questions, please feel free to pop them in the live chat or on the form. All right, quick walkthrough. So it looks like a quiet evening at Dev Academy in Wellington, and the sun is just shining through on that back wall there. So yeah, if you come into Dev Academy, we're at level 2 on 275 Cuba Street, and this is our front door. Right, and yeah, just coming through here, we've got a couple of meeting rooms. There's one here, and our main lecture room is in here. Just turn the light on. So this is where a lead teacher would be introducing topics, and we're all having a good discussion, Q&A around those topics. A couple of sprint bays, so one there and one here. Got a nice big open plan. Lots of other companies working in our space as well, all tech companies. Again, the school has a lot of interaction with the tech sector, so we're really interested in making that overlap work and making sure students have some exposure to the tech sector in which they're going to be going into. This is the floor right now, and we've got a number of students working on some of their personal projects and some of their some of the things that they're coding on. Howdy, folks. And yeah, so nice balcony as well. So we've got a lot of people working working around the students as well in the space. We've still got Don, who's working late, just doing a bit of sprint planning by the looks. Yeah, got a good kitchen here as well. So both sites have a really nice indoor-outdoor flow, have good cooking facilities as well. Lots of nooks and crannies, so different desks in which you can work on, different spaces in which you can run sprints on. Yeah, and lovely sun sort of flowing in. So that's a little bit of a walkthrough on the space. As I said to you before, if you've got any desire to sort of come in and see the space a bit more, come and have a chat to me, please get in touch. It'd be great to, yeah, great to meet you. Very happy for folks to come in and ask me anything about what we do here. All right, we'll call it a day. Okay, folks. Yeah, catch you soon. Bye-bye.